Hey, I'm John Greaves III. I'm the founder of Garage Gym Life Media, and I am joined by Matt Kouba. Matt's an IFBB pro, and it's really cool because we did an interview with him a little bit ago about bodybuilding in a home gym, and one of the viewers said he wanted to see Matt's home gym. So Matt, thank you for agreeing to do this and invite us into your home to show us your training space.
Yeah, thanks for having me, John. I've actually been wanting to do something like this for a little while. I know once I opened up my gym, a year and a half ago or something, I know a lot of people had been asking me about it, and I never did like a full in-depth thing. So I'm sure a lot of people will like to see it that haven't already been here and worked out. So it'll be cool to show it off.
All right, so show me what you got.
So basically walking from the kitchen and then into the garage.
Nice. Okay.
And then this just kind of gives you the overall view.
How big is the space?
It's a 2-car garage, so it's a 400 square feet.
Oh, nice. Okay, nice.
So yeah, that's basically the circular view of it. This prime piece is kind of like the main, the most, that has the most variety of stuff. I mean, you got the pull-up attachment things up here. It basically acts as a rack and a dual cable pulley setup. So it comes with, if you got the seat to do like lat pull downs over there, so you could set that up.
That's huge.
For low cable rows, you could set this thing up for the low cable row attachment.
I like that you have that seat because a lot of times when people try to do low cable rows in a home gym environment, they don't have like that little pad that you have when you go to a gym. And so you raise up out of the seat. Did that attachment come with the Prime?
That Prime HLP, it's called the Prime HLP selectorized rack. So that basically has like the 2 weight stacks. And then it's got a lot of attachments. You got like things that hang on the back here, like for your, like doing landmine rows.
Okay.
Like I said, it's got the seat, obviously. It's got like your spotter arms. And then, I just got like every cable attachment that you could probably think of. Even, on this thing, that's basically all what I got here. I got like the back widow attachment, if you're familiar with that.
Flex Wheeler's
versatile piece.
Yeah. The thing I like about that, some people didn't like it when it first came out because it was very expensive, but I look at it like it replaces a lot of the attachments. So like there's another thing called the maximum advantage grips. And to me, and that's like a stack of different bars with slightly different grips. Whereas the back widow has everything all in one. And I'm like, well, you're not buying just one attachment. You're actually buying multiple attachments in one. So it's interesting that you have that. How do you like using it?
I like it. You could use it on like a actual, like on the pulley setup. So you could hook it up, on the pulley. And then you could use it. It's got like, the little groove here to do like landmine rows. And so I use it for both of those. You can actually put the bar through here to do landmine rows. Or you could just use this little section here.
Kind of like old school T-bar. Okay.
Yeah, and I use it more on there, actually. I don't like it with through the hole as much, but it's a good versatile piece. And I find myself using it on like pull downs as well. So
that's interesting because you're a bodybuilder, and so for you, it's not necessarily about how much weight you're lifting. Variety is important for you. So you've been using one attachment for a while, and your body's just like, hey, not responding anymore to it. So then you got to switch to another attachment. It's good having all of the different options to just say, okay, well, my thumbs need to be in this position today in order for me to get what I need done today. Do you usually do that by feel, or do you have it kind of like programmed, like, okay, I'm going to use this piece for 4 weeks and then switch to this for 4 weeks?
I guess I'm a little bit more instinctual with my training. I will usually have like somewhat of a guide of what I'm going to do. And there might be certain movements that I definitely stick with for a few weeks, but if I might say I want to do a front raise movement for shoulders as my 4th movement, and kind of depending on the day, what I've been feeling lately, if I want to do a dumbbell, if I want to do them on cables, or if I want to do it with like a free weight thing, I could, do that.
It looks like, is that an Elite FTS shoulder saver?
So this here is, Yeah, this is like
No,
a
to the
Viking
right,
press.
to the right of that, the little
Oh
pad.
yeah, the shoulder saver. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
actually use that super often.
Okay.
I use it more to like sit on it actually. So I'll put it on
Okay.
like I'll put it on like a bench like this, I have like my prime bench. And so
Okay.
you could put it on the bench like this, and say if I wanted to do like a sorry, I'm trying to
No, I think I understand. Like if you want to sit on it facing the bench or something.
exactly, yeah. So you could sit
Gotcha.
on it so you're up higher and then your face isn't sticking right into the bench.
Right.
I
You do
actually
reverse
saw
flies and stuff. Okay.
yeah, or like put it up against like the cable, like I could do like rows,
Okay.
so that your face is elevated. I saw somebody, Alan Kress, actually. He's another bodybuilder, and he used to have a home gym, and I saw him do that, and so I was like, oh, it's worth it just to get that extra piece,
Okay. Okay. Nice.
for that.
I asked that
But
because you also had, it looks like, I'm not sure if that's a Kabuki Cadillac bar to your left or not.
yeah,
Because the
yeah,
Kabuki bar lets you get more range of motion and the shoulder saver restricts your range of motion. So again, going back to the fact that you're not concerned as much about the weight as you are about the feel. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe he uses that depending on what he needs, where he want, what part of his chest and triceps he needs to prioritize or whatever.
I have used it occasionally for that purpose, but not as often. I do like just doing like old school floor presses with the dumbbells.
Okay.
And so that's a similar idea. But as far as like my barbell presses, I usually like to use a more full range of motion. And yeah, I do really like this Kabuki bar.
The balance point is supposedly different from every other kind of like buffalo bar type deal. So what do you like about it?
So I haven't used a ton of different options of them, but I do like the balance. I do like the weight, the position that it puts your shoulder in. And again, it's just anytime, when you have a garage gym, having something that you could use that doesn't really take up much additional space. Like obviously I have, a few different bars. Like I have like this that I like to use for shrugs, or, I'll even use for like a chest supported row. They don't take up much space, but it allows you a lot of different options. And since I train clients at my gym here, having bars that are unique and, like I have that Kabuki bar, then I also have like these two Kabuki bars, like the trap bar.
The trap bar HD? Okay.
The transformer bar here too.
Right.
Those are a lot of, things that most gyms, like commercial gyms, don't have. So having that has kind of helped separate myself, like at my own gym here, where people are like, oh shit, like that's really cool.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
Do me a favor, go stand in front of the mirror so people can, because rather than turning the phone around, I want people to see how big you are.
How big I am?
Yeah, because, and the reason I say is because, so if you wanted to get full range of motion on a row, for example, right? And you use a straight bar, the bar is going to hit like your chest, and you'll still have about 6-7 more inches that you could pull your arms back behind yourself, Whereas if you have something that's like that cambered bar or the Kabuki, the Cadillac bar, you now have more room to it's almost like you're doing a dumbbell. You get the same benefit that you would with a dumbbell if you were using dumbbell rows. So that's what I thought of immediately. We're like, oh yeah, I like that, because I'm like, well, you're a big guy. So and then I would assume you train clients who are bodybuilders. So these are bigger people. You're not using just the normal stuff isn't going to work for you guys. It's about how many clients can you handle in the gym at once?
The most that I've ever trained at once is 2, and then I have myself. But I usually do mostly one-on-one training. I mean, it's not a ton of space. So, if I'm having more than 2 people and myself, I mean,
again, you're a big person, and you're training.
Exactly.
It's like there's a lot of big people in this one area. So yeah, that makes sense.
I've trained like so I've had me and 2 buddies working out at the same time together, but usually I just train with either by myself or with a friend of mine.
Okay.
So I've had 2 or 3 people working out in here at once, but never more than 3. I feel like if it was more than 3, I would feel uncomfortable, and I think it would feel too crowded.
I noticed that you use the round head dumbbells. Some guys like to use the Pro style. Some like to use a hex. What do you like about that style of dumbbell?
I mean, I like the hex dumbbells. These were what I was able to get at a pretty good price, and they were relatively, they were in good shape. But what are they called? The Hex ones. What's the brand that makes those usually? I can't remember.
Oh, I mean, there's a ton of them. Now I'm drawing a blank. But
Yeah,
so it depends on where you buy them, because if you get them from like the ones that are made in China, they're actually dangerous, in my opinion, because they're not like the kinds you have there remind me of the iron grip ones that are where they take
iron grip is what I was thinking.
Okay, yeah. So the iron grip is good because what they'll do is they'll drill the shaft down into the head of the dumbbell, and it's one solid piece. Whereas the hex style sometimes are like they're just tack welded onto the ends. And I've actually seen somebody drop a 70-pound dumbbell, and then the next set he was doing dumbbell pullovers, and the end of the dumbbell came off and hit him in the face. So, yeah, because that weld isn't as secure as the kind that you have right there. Like, I'm not familiar with that brand, but it looks like that's how they do it. You know, like it's down in there. It's one solid piece.
Yeah, I mean, they're solid. I mean, and I could, I throw them around a little bit. I mean, I don't try to like break them, but I could toss them around a little bit. And yeah, they've been handling well.
Nice.
So
cool. All right. So show me what else you got. I started nerding out. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, when I first started building it, the basics that I needed for me was I really wanted to have a Smith machine because it's a good versatile piece. I like, especially if I'm training them by myself, being able to push it, doing shoulder presses. This Arsenal one is tall enough where you could do like standing shoulder presses, and I'm 6'1", nice. And so there's plenty of range of motion there. But I use that I'll set it up for seated calf raises and standing calf raises. Like I got this little calf raise piece like down there that I'll just move over to the middle, and I could set it up where, I got like a hip thrust pad from like Rogue, like for like seated calf raises, you could just put this on your legs and it basically acts as like a seated calf raise. And then, like I said, obviously I do like my, your shoulder presses, either seated or standing, you could do bent over rows. I do a lot of my chest presses on there.
You do any like lunges and things like that in there?
With my garage gym, the way that I built it also is I don't train legs myself here. I do train clients like through leg workouts, but from a bodybuilding perspective, I like to do, my hack squats and my leg presses and my leg extensions. And I kind of went all out with being able to train all my upper body. So I don't do those things as much, but for clients, I prefer to do Bulgarian split squats actually over here. It's got this pad attachment, so you could hook it up
I've seen those
onto here, so you could hook it up as high or as low as you want it, and then you put your back foot on there. And then
get a good stretch.
Yeah, exactly. So that pad is actually awesome. So if I did train legs, I'd probably use that piece and then the transformer bar, and those would be the two main like staple movements for sure.
What's the one piece that you use the most in here that you didn't know you were going to use as much as you use it?
That's a good question. I would say, I don't know. Everything that I think that I thought that I would use, I use. I mean, because I like using the basics. I would say two of the pieces that are probably more unique are like these track sport handles. I love these. So I use these I have like a lot of different handles and attachments, and you think like they look like your basic D handle, but they're just they're cool because they they rotate like this, and they have a little bit more space like between the grip and there. So like for cable flies and rows and like single arm pull downs, I find myself using this one over any of the other ones, maybe the cheaper ones that I bought. This one is pretty expensive. It's like $120 for a pair.
Oh, wow.
But I use them a lot. So it was it's actually one of the ones that like I bought probably later on.
Right.
But at this point you're just trying to add certain, little things in there that maybe, you could use, but
that's why I tell people like the home gym is in some ways better than a public gym because you customize it over time as you realize what you need and your needs change. So I completely understand that. So what you got over there?
Yeah, so these are, I guess, what you would call the fun pieces. Behind me here is all the basic stuff like the dumbbells, the Smith machine. Over there is basically the rack, your cables. I have all my fun attachments. But these pieces, I have the Prime Extreme row is over here in the corner.
Okay.
So each side moves like individually, but it basically is a chest supported rowing movement. My back is probably one of my areas that I have needed to focus on more.
Okay.
This was just a machine that I got a good feel using. It's got, a neutral grip and an overhand grip. So as you can see on the handle there,
Okay.
it goes either way.
Yeah.
It's very adjustable. So you could adjust the seat, you could adjust this up and down.
Change your incline. Okay.
So to change the angle of it.
Okay.
And then it's got the different pegs on the sides to kind of change where the resistance profile is. So if you put it on the top peg, then that makes it harder at the bottom portion of the range of motion.
Right.
This makes it harder through the mid range, and then that bottom peg makes it hardest at the top end.
So it's kind of like they're operating a little bit with the Nautilus concept, where you're using the machine to kind of overload you at certain parts of the range of motion to kind of make it superior. That's what Arthur Jones would have said anyway. Superior.
Yeah.
His machines, he said, were superior to free weights because you could overload in places where maybe with a dumbbell there wouldn't be any resistance at all, but with his machines you can have resistance throughout the whole thing. And you're saying that this takes it one step further because you can actually choose where to put the most resistance.
Exactly, yeah. And then I got another row machine, is Arsenal, like multi-row machine. So this is more of a seated upright. This other one's more laying flat. And this one I like. It's got a lot of different handle attachments.
Oh wow!
You have like your reverse grip. You got a neutral grip. You can use a reverse grip a little bit lower here, and then you have like an overhand grip that you could pull back like that.
Nice.
And again, each arm works independently, so you could change where you're going to use it. I mean, I tend to mostly use this or the reverse grip. I've occasionally used the overhand grip like this here.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a nice setup. I like this one. You could do them, obviously seated like that. And I also like, you could do them standing where you kind of, are just in a more of a standing position just to change the angle of it.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, it's a good piece. This is just one of those pieces that like I used at a gym. I remember when I first kind of got acquainted with some of the Arsenal strength pieces, and I liked the way it felt. A lot of back movements, they take a lot out of you. Like say you're doing, your dumbbell rows and your bent over barbell rows. I mean, I still don't like get away from those, but I really only could do one like non-chest supported rowing movement in a workout. Otherwise I feel like it's too taxing on like my CNS. I feel like, I'm just beating myself up too much. So if I do like one rowing movement that's like, either landmine rows or bent over rows,
and then finish with the machines.
Yeah, exactly. So
Gotcha.
I know a lot of people would look at it like, oh, why do you have two rowing machines and, you don't have any chest press machines? But, for chest presses, I feel like I could do whatever I need to do with barbells, with dumbbells. I got the dumbbells up to the 150, and then I also got the Smith machine. So for me, I feel like I got plenty of pressing movements that I could do. And then the rowing movements is a little bit more where I needed to fine tune. And that's why I got these two separate machines for that purpose. And then in the middle here, I wanted to get, it seems like it's probably a pretty heavy duty piece, but it's just a preacher bench. But it's nice because, again, I don't have any bicep specific machines, and I'll get to these two pieces afterwards, but this preacher bench, I could move this over by the cables and do like, cable arm, bicep work with it. And I'll also even just use it, say, this one's nice because it's double sided. So it's got the angle here. And then on the other side, I was going to ask
you if you do Scott curls with it. Your spider curls. Okay, cool.
Exactly. So you could do both of them. I'll even just use it where I might just lean my back against this and do like, a front raise movement. So you're just leaning against it, because it's heavy duty enough. But yeah, I love this because I like doing, especially single arm bicep work. So I use this every bicep workout that I do. I mean, I might even use it for two different movements.
All right.
And then here I got another prime piece. This is a chest fly or reverse fly.
Okay.
This one's nice because obviously it's a dual purpose machine. I don't have any chest press, machines, but I thought it was important to have a fly machine. Again, that's a movement that I do a lot of chest workouts. I tend to prefer using either a machine or cables over dumbbells when it comes to my fly movements.
Okay.
So I wanted to get a good one. And again, this one's unique. It's a little bit different. You got the adjustments here where you could change where the resistance profile is. So instead of like that one, it's plate loaded. This one is, you could adjust, like this would be the mid range. This would be the end range. This would be kind of in the middle.
Okay.
But, so you have that for reverse flies too. So you got a couple different handles.
All right. What's this piece here?
So this is the lateral raise.
Lateral?
So
okay.
This is the prime lateral raise machine. This was one that I was definitely again, I think for me, I really wanted this machine. It's unique to my needs and my goals. I think when it comes to, shoulders, I think a lot of people would look at it and like, well, why do you have a lateral raise machine? Because it probably takes up, a decent amount of space, and you could do dumbbell laterals, you could do cable laterals. But for me, being able to push with my elbow and take like that lower half of my arm out of the movement just makes like a night and day difference.
Makes it easier to
as far
isolate.
As so my mind muscle connection on this is just insane. And I really feel like, honestly, I feel like my shoulders, I've had the garage gym for about a year and a half, and I would say my shoulders have improved the most out of any body part, training them in my garage. And I owe it, I think, a lot to this machine. I had that, I think I showed you, or we saw beginning, that Elite FTS, the Viking press attachment.
Yeah.
Right down here. I love doing presses on there. And yeah.
Nice, man.
So
your flooring is a little bit different than a lot of people just like to go with stall mats. You look like you went with fitness flooring. Is like kind of like the interlocking fitness flooring. How do you like that?
Yeah. When I first started putting this together, I was working out in my buddy's basement when all the gyms like closed down in the Illinois area. Okay. And this was the flooring that he had. And so I liked it. I had used it. I was familiar with it. And so he kind of helped me install it.
All right. Of course, you got to have a sign. This is Big Kouba training. Let people know where they are. How many clients can you handle?
To that, I got the heater. That's also very important if you live in Illinois.
Heck, yeah. I was actually up there not that long ago training with Julia and Ryan. And I was actually surprised because once I started training, it wasn't too bad. But then you walk outside and it's like you just got hit in the chest with a fist, man, because it is cold and y'all can have it. All right. Yeah. I scurried back down to Georgia quick as I could. So
yeah, this gym would not be operable if I didn't have that heater. I don't think I could handle it. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Now, did you have to have that installed separately or was it already in the garage?
Yeah, so I had to have that installed. It's actually an electric heater. Okay. I live in a townhome, and so I couldn't do a gas thing because it's got to like vent out. But as long as that thing, I have to turn it on about an hour and a half before using the gym, and then it'll get nice and toasty in here.
So about how many clients do you have all day long?
I have between 4 to 6, but then with that, and then my own workouts, and then I do my online training, my online coaching. I never will schedule more than 6. It's honestly usually closer to 4, but they might just be spread out a little bit or depending on the day. Right. But that's about what I like to handle with right now, like my online clients, I'm up to like over 70 people. So,
wow.
So that takes up a good chunk of time in itself. So I kind of prioritize that now because that's where I make the majority of my money. But again, that was a big reason for doing the garage gym was because I never wanted to get away from the in-person training. I enjoy that. Right. Being able to have, people in here and training them individually. It's fun for me. And it kind of breaks up the day because, instead of being on the computer, I didn't sign up to be a trainer to be sitting on the computer the whole time. As much as like you could connect with a lot of people in other areas that you might otherwise not be able to. Yeah. But I still enjoy having that one-on-one.
So along with the online coaching though, do you help them with their posing, or do you refer them to a posing coach?
Yeah, I'll help them with their posing. Because they send me pictures every check-in. And so I'll critique their posing. If they need a lot of help, or if I feel like they need to do like a live video, then that's something that we would schedule in addition to their normal check-ins. But sometimes I could just kind of help critique them with their posing, with their pictures. And if they do have somebody that's in person, because posing is another one of those things that like you can help them like a little bit through like a video, like, you know, we're talking right now, but sometimes people need more hands-on. And if
They
so,
need that kinesthetic, what do you call it? Like it's like touch. Like I can touch you and you're like, oh, that muscle. Okay, yeah, I got you.
exactly. So I do prefer to help people like in person. So if they can make it out, like if they're a client of mine and they can make it out here, I've had a lot of people do that. Where they'll come and they'll pose here in my gym. But if they're farther distance, I'll help them as much as I can. But if I feel like they still need further help, then I'll try to refer them to somebody in person that they could work with out there, because you could do so much with the, you know, because I've even tried to hire somebody to do a video posing, you know, myself like years ago, and I just didn't like it personally. So, I mean, I kind of tell people that like, that if they want me to help them, I will, but you know, it's better to do that, I think, in person.
And then if somebody's in a competition, do you go with them to the competition as well?
Not all online clients. So if they're local and
the in person,
you know, then I'll go. Yeah, but yeah, it's too hard to go to all of the shows because I mean, I might have people competing on consecutive weekends or people that are competing the same weekend in other states, and so it's just not realistic to be able to go to all the shows. But
so what do you do? Just kind of check in with them like on the phone and just kind of see how things are going. And like for the and then they just kind of send you pictures or video and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, they'll send me pictures. So like if they're competing out of state, like I had a guy that was doing nationals, and I would just set my alarm to wake up and be able to check his pictures when he sends them in the morning of the show, and then be able to guide him, you know, what we need to do.
I like a lot of the things you said as far as learning how to establish that balance. And the biggest thing that jumped out to me though about it as we wrap this up is that you scheduled it so that you can give your clients attention. Because I know some people who schedule, like all they care about is, you know, getting a maximum amount of clients, right? And you're like, well, I need to know that I can actually give you the attention you're paying me for. I can only have this many per day. So briefly, let's talk about the services you offer. And then I want you to let people know how they can get in touch with you. So we just talked about you offer training services. Do you also include nutrition with that?
Yeah, I include nutrition with the training, and then I also do the online coaching. So, you know, no matter where you live, I can help you with your training and, you know, nutrition. And, you know, whatever your physique goals are, you know, I can guide you. I mean, I help people that compete, or if they're just looking for general lifestyle.
So this is a big question. I've always wondered this. All right. So if somebody is your online coach and they are coaching you in powerlifting or weightlifting, they're looking at, you know, you send them videos so that they can say, okay, so like in powerlifting, like, okay, hey, your chest needs to be up more in the squat or something like that, or you need to arch a little bit more in the bench press, that kind of thing. So they're seeing how you perform in the movement from a technical standpoint. For online coaching from a bodybuilding standpoint, do you get videos or mostly pictures? Because are you saying, hey, I want you to next time, I want you to try to have, you know, like Larry Scott was always talking about, have your pinkies higher than your thumb for certain movements. Is that what you're looking for when somebody's sending you video?
So that's a good question. When it comes to bodybuilding, the coaching is definitely more of like nutrition and guiding, you know, the body to get it to look a certain way. But the weightlifting, you're right, you're not there seeing them do the weightlifting.
You can't touch them to see if their muscles activating. So you're like,
I always wondered that. I kind of give them guidance as far as like what they need to do, but you know, bodybuilding, a lot of it is nutrition, and you know, I guide them with their workouts as far as like how much volume to do, or you know, what movements. I'll see like what they're doing. Like a lot of times, like if a body part is lagging, I'm kind of like, well, send me what you're doing for that body part. And then I can kind of critique that, and I might have them send me some videos. But if things are like going in the right direction, or if things seem to be improving, and, you know, some of my people, they might be more advanced. And so I'm honestly a fan of, like I said, like I'm somewhat instinctual with my training. And I think that there is, something to that. I think you need to have fun with your training. I think you need to sometimes be somewhat instinctual. And so I try to give them some freedom as far as that stuff is concerned. And usually people they know enough where, especially if they're competitors, if they're like, not getting the most out of certain exercises, then, they'll communicate that with me, and then I could kind of help guide them more specifically like that. But you're right. I mean, somebody might be doing half-ass workouts, and, over time, like I'll kind of know that over time. I'll be like, okay, well, what's going on here? But
right.
If they're improving, then I kind of just let them do their thing.
All right. Well, I know people want to be able to take advantage of this resource that I just introduced them to if they were not familiar with you. So how can somebody reach out to you if they want to be trained by Big Kouba?
So they can reach out to me on my Instagram is probably the easiest. You can shoot me a message there. I'll probably direct them either to my email, or if they are local and they want to train in person here, I'll give them my phone number and they could connect with me and we could set up a session. But I give discounts based on, if they work with me with the online coaching and they want to come in for a workout, it's because some people might live a couple hours away, so they could only come in once in a while, but I'll give them a discount on the in-person training. And yeah, so they could just reach out to me on my Instagram, and that'd be the easiest. So it's just at Matt Kouba.